Welcome to Politics for Patriots. Here's your host, the eviscerator of progressive nonsense, the executioner of imbecility, and the grim reaper of BS, Eddie Zipper.
Whenever a 2018 election poll comes out that looks great for Democrats, the mainstream media starts shaking their pom-poms and giving away blue wave spirit ribbons. Early this year, every news cycle was 24 hours a day blue wave coverage. The news anchors, and I use the word news loosely here, the news anchors were like, "Up next, will Democrats win most of the seats in the House and Senate this November? Or will they win all the seats? Our experts debate." Then they bring on 5 McPundits on a split screen that looks like the anti-Trump Brady Bunch, and they all agree that Democrats are going to win everywhere. And they all cite the poll that led the news. All right, so Huffington Post ran a blue wave piece a couple days ago, even though the blue wave pieces are not as in vogue as they used to be. Right? Blue waveism is so 2017. It's so 2017 that it belongs on a BuzzFeed list between fidget spinners and unicorn frappuccinos. It makes sense that it didn't really last into 2018, considering the generic congressional vote, and I'm using the RCP, Real Clear Politics average here. The generic congressional vote has gone from Democrats plus 13 to Democrats plus 7. All right, that is not really the direction that a good wave goes in. I'm not an expert on surfing, but I'm guessing that if you ask any pro surfer, they're going to tell you that the good waves are the ones that are getting bigger and not the ones that are getting smaller. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's like Waves 101. But like all fads, blue wave journalism still has its devotees. Last week, I discussed a blue wave piece by Chris Cillizza at CNN. And now, there's a new one in the Huffington Post. And I thought this one was a really interesting read because the writer baked some pretty funny... the writer baked some pretty funny stuff into his blue wave cake. All right, did you ever watch DuckTales? The Beagle Boys would be in jail and their mom would send them a cake with like a pickaxe baked into it, and then they use the pickaxe to escape from jail. All right, that's what this Huffington Post article is. It's about how Democrats are going to win all these big victories and there's going to be this blue wave, but it's full of pickaxes that the writer can use to escape from his opinion later. So it's pretty funny to look at and point out these pickaxes in this Huffington Post piece. By the way, before I get into the piece, I just want to tell you that it is... I mean, it's so asinine that it's not even aggravating, it's just funny. So, I'm going to get into that. Okay, so the writer says... he says that things are looking pretty blue wavy to him. All right, quote, "Since the 1840s, the president's party has lost seats in 41 of 44 midterm elections. The pattern has been for the out party to pick up something like 25 seats in the first off-year election after a new president takes office. Trump is, of course, far less popular than most of his predecessors, and Democratic activism is at a fever pitch." Okay, so he's setting you up. Blue wave, did you hear all those things? I mean, it sounds pretty good to be a Democrat. I mean, obviously you have to ignore the fact that Trump approval on the economy is double digits higher than Obama's was going into the 2010 midterms and going into the 2014 midterms. So you have to forget that in order to understand this. But I seriously doubt that, anybody's going to vote based on the economy.
It's the economy, stupid.
Right? People don't base their vote on how the economy is doing, do they?
It's the economy, stupid.
No, surely not. Nobody would do that. All right, so ignore Trump's fantastic economy numbers and fantastic approval on his handling of the economy. Ignore all that. That's not what this piece is about. This piece is about, here come those big blue Democratic wins. That's what this paragraph is all about, the big blue wave. Next paragraph, here comes the pickaxe. Here's the quote. On the other hand, we have a level of voter suppression unprecedented since the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Purges of the rolls, needlessly stringent ID requirements, games played with polling places and their hours, extreme gerrymandering, and questions about whether systems will be hacked, either by the Russians or by Trumpian locals. What? Trumpian locals are going to hack the election system.
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Okay, so in other words, this opinion writer sees two possibilities for the future. Democrats could win since American history entitles them to a win. Or, option 2, the Republicans can cheat. Those are the two possible outcomes. Not a word about any possible future where, I don't know, Republicans win, maybe not because MAGA hat wearing hackers dress up as voting machine repairmen and then hack the voting machines, but maybe because, I don't know, because Democrats are terrible. Is there any possibility of that? Is there any possibility that Republicans hold their seats not because of gerrymandering and Russia hacking and anything, but maybe just because Democrats didn't learn any lessons from the 2016 elections or the 2014 elections or the 2010 elections? I mean, that seems like a pretty reasonable possibility given the fact that since Obama became president in 2008, Democrats have lost the House, they lost the Senate, they lost the presidency, and they've lost about 1,000 state legislature seats. So, why should that trend change when the Democratic Party hasn't changed? Well, actually, they have changed. The Democratic Party has changed, but they've changed in what has quite clearly been the wrong direction. Okay, so this false dichotomy that's being set up, either there's a blue wave for Democrats or the Republicans cheated. There's no earth logic in this Huffington Post blue wave cheerleading opinion piece. Not 1 ounce of it, okay? This is all alien logic. This is
ancient Earth's most foolish program. Why does Ross, the largest friend, not simply eat the other 5?
That's the best. That's the best drop. I always like to use that whenever anybody just has no sense of logic whatsoever. So I use it a lot because, progressive opinion writers so often are nowhere near Earth logic. Why does Ross, the largest friend, not simply eat the other 5? I love that. It's hilarious. Okay, so skipping ahead in this Huffington Post piece by this writer who hasn't gotten the memo that the blue wave has dried up, the next question he asks is this. Quote, so will the combination of voter suppression and gerrymandering abort the blue wave? And then he goes on to talk about all the House seats the Dems will win. And then he says, even the Senate could be in play. Then he names a bunch of Democrats who are running and posits that if they win, Democrats will take back the Senate. Oh, really? I mean, that's basically all he does is list names and then say, if those names win, then there will be more Democrats. It's so ridiculous. All right, he says, if Democrats can hold the at-risk seats and pick up 2 GOP seats, they take the Senate 51-49. But of course, pickaxe alert, that might not happen because Republicans are such big cheaters. All right, so I decided to feature this Huffington Post piece today because the analysis is so unhinged. I mean, talk about Trump derangement syndrome.
Just when I think you've said the stupidest thing ever, you keep talking.
In the world of this writer's logic, there is no possibility that Democrats lose in free and fair elections. There's not even a possibility. It doesn't exist in his world as a possibility. Will there be a blue wave, or will Republicans cheat? That's the false dichotomy of existing outcomes on the left, and it's a good sign of what we're going to see everywhere in the mainstream media when there's not a blue wave in November. All right, this will be the mainstream media narrative because they don't accept the results of free and fair elections anymore. All right, Democrats will again learn nothing from losing. Right? It'll be voter ID and gerrymandering and Russian hacking and local Trump hacking that defeats free and fair elections. Because in the minds of the leftist McPundits, free and fair elections are defined as elections where Democrats feel warm and happy afterward. All right, so I'm pleased to have with me on the show today an election analyst who is much better at forecasting what will happen in November than all the mainstream media McPundits put together. All right, so thank you for being here with me today. My question for you is, will we see a blue wave of Democratic voters in November? Okay, now I'm shaking him up. Ask again later. Okay, that's not really helpful. Let me give it one more try. Will we see a blue wave of Democratic voters this November? I'm shaking, and don't count on it. Well done, Magic 8 Ball, well done. And I think I know what the Magic 8 Ball is getting at here. Let's start in the Senate. Remember that only 1/3 of the Senate is up for re-election every 2 years. Senators have 6-year terms. It's not like the House of Representatives where every seat is up for grabs every 2 years. 9 Democrats running in states that Trump won in the 2016 election. That's what the Senate map looks like. 9 Democrats who are running in states that Trump won in the 2016 election. Most of them were last elected in 2012 on the coattails of President Obama. In fact, some of them have never won their seat without the benefit of the Obama turnout machine. Number of Republicans running in states that Clinton won in 2016, 1. Dean Heller in Nevada. That is literally the only one. Okay, so the map alone is gloomy at best for the Democrat. The map alone could melt the pom-poms of even the most spirited blue wave cheerleader. Democrats need to flip seats in red states to take back the Senate majority. That's the only way that they can do it. Okay, so I started the show by saying that the mainstream media goes full news cycle mode on polls that sound good for the blue wave. Well, here's a poll you probably won't hear anything about. There's a new poll of Senate popularity from Morning Consult. I compared the numbers to the same poll that was taken back in January. And these numbers in the new poll should have the Democrats in full-on panic mode. Okay, you ready? Of the 9 Democrats running in red states, 7 of them are less popular today than they were in January. Manchin in West Virginia and Nelson in Florida are both down 7 points since January. Heitkamp in North Dakota is down 6. Stabenow in Michigan is down 4. Donnelly in Indiana is down 3. And Sherrod Brown in Ohio is down 2. And McCaskill in Missouri is down 1. Average approval of these 7 senators right now is 43%. Not a single one of them is doing better than 45%. 3 of them, Manchin, Heitkamp, and McCaskill, are now in the bottom 10 of the entire Senate in terms of approval. Bottom 10. All right, McCaskill is in the bottom 5. And she's in especially bad shape because she would have lost in 2012 if it hadn't been for her lucking into Todd Akin as an opponent. All right, he said something ridiculous and sunk his own candidacy. But do you see what I'm getting at with these numbers? This isn't a blue wave level of approval. This isn't blue wave, Democrats are taking back the Senate kind of numbers. I'm expecting Republicans to flip about 5 of those 9 seats. So, let me ask my esteemed colleague here about the Senate. Esteemed colleague, do you think Republicans will flip 5 of those 9 seats? All right, I'm shaking, and as I see it, yes. Well done. I'm telling you, I will take this magic 8 ball over Larry Sabato's crystal ball every day of the week and twice on Election Day. Okay, let's jump over to the House of Representatives. All right, things look great for the GOP in the Senate. I will be shocked if Democrats somehow manage to take back the Senate. It would be a miracle. It's not going to happen. They can write it off right now. They should. All right, over to the House of Representatives. In the House of Representatives, all 435 seats are up for grabs. As always, every 2 years, all 435 seats are up for grabs. And our data experts say that there are only 48 seats up for grabs. Okay, and I'm citing a piece from the New York Times here that did an average of what the data experts are saying. And the data experts say 48 seats up for grabs. The rest of the seats, they say, are safely blue or safely red. Okay, let's stipulate that there are 48 seats up for grabs, just for the sake of being able to make an argument here. 7 of the 48 are already held by Democrats. So Democrats have to hold all of those just to keep the number where it is. That'll be hard on its own. Okay, 6 of those 7 are in districts that Trump won in 2016. 2 of them are in districts that Trump won by double digits. So it's not just going to be a gimme to keep those. All right, they're going to have to work hard to keep those seats. All right, to take a majority, they need to flip about 24 of the 41 red toss-ups. They need to flip 59% of the currently red seats that are up for grabs. That would be astounding, right? That would be a blue wave of anti-Trumpism. That's what it's going to take. One problem, of those 41 red toss-up seats, 20 of them are in districts that Trump won in 2016. And I don't want to bog you down in numbers, but here's the question. This is the question for Democrats. This is the question that blue waveism is facing. Will Democrats be able to hold all 194 of their House seats, including the 7 toss-ups in Trump districts and the 1 toss-up that they have in a narrow Hillary district? Because they need to hold all of those just to stay at 194 seats. Then after accomplishing all that, they need to flip 24 of the 41 remaining red seats. It's possible, but let me tell you why I'm not feeling it. All right? 6 of the most flippable seats are in California. These are Republican seats that the Democrats could flip blue. You've heard it. California's going to be the home of the blue wave, right? Well, we just got a preview of the 2018 election there during their primaries, because in California they have jungle primaries. That's where the primaries aren't split into Republican and Democrat. The whole electorate gets to show up and vote, and the top two candidates go on to the general election, and if they're both Democrats, then they're both Democrats. And if they're both Republicans, then they're both Republicans. So in those jungle primaries in California, Democrats didn't win a majority of the votes in any of those districts. In other words, there was zero blue wave crashing in California during their primaries. And this is California. This is supposed to be the home of the blue wave. This is where the blue wave was going to crash down on Republicans the hardest. But it didn't. Democrats did not win a majority in a single one of those districts. All right, after that primary turnout in California, there is no reason to believe that there is a blue wave coming. You see what I'm saying? Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy, Easter Bunny, blue wave. That's all I'm saying. All right, that's it. That's all I got for today. Thank you so much for listening. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Please tell your friends. You know, if you see your friends, take their phone away from them and subscribe to the show for them. Share the show on social media. I would appreciate any of those things if you have the time and the will to do it. Most of all, thank you all so much, and I am out of here.
You just listened to Politics for Patriots with Eddie Zipper. Email the show at patriots@eddiezipper.com and please subscribe.